Television has changed all of our lives for better or for worse, and none of us would be the same without it. The TV has changed the way information is packaged and shipped across the world, and from it emerged a new way to transmit this information. But the question is, how did this happen?
The sparks of television were first ignited over a century and a half ago in 1873, when the photoconductivity of the element selenium is discovered, pioneering the ability to send images through phone lines and image scanning devices. Later in 1884, Paul Nipkow patents the Nipkow disc, a revolutionary new mechanical way of image scanning. This method is later forgotten but reinstated by a newfound developer. In 1906, the first successful image transmission is demonstrated from one room to another, and in 1911, the first cathode ray tube display is used, although it was very impractical. The CRT was invented in 1897 but was not used as a display. 3 years later, in May of 1914, a man named Archibald Lowe demonstrated his system dubbed Televista, which is a basic structure of what we have today. The patent was delayed due to wartime, but is greatly improved many years later. Flash forward to 1923, when a man named John Baird reinvents the Nipkow disc, and on January 26 of 1926, he transmitted 40 different scientists' faces, which became widely known as the first public demonstration of television. In between these events, Charles Jenkins files a patent for a display with a 48 scan line resolution. Only a year later, Baird makes a transmission spanning over 438 miles and broadcasted the first transatlantic TV signal in 1929. In 1927, Bell Telephone Laboratories demonstrated a flat-panel plasma display that was accurate with a monochromatic image and synchronized sound. It's now August of 1931, and the first completely electronic TV transmission is demonstrated by Manfred von Ardane. Just 8 years later, in July of 1939, John Baird once again revolutionizes the TV industry with the first practical hybrid color TV system. This was an absolute game changer for the already growing TV business. Jumping all the way to the first day of 1954, the world's first color TV program is broadcasted using the NTSC format, which is the US standard. Pictures like these were often used to test the color of the broadcast, or as a filler when there was no actual broadcast. In the spring of 1966, General Electric introduced the compact and lightweight Portacolor TV set, making the color television much easier to buy and use. At this point, TV is a staple in any decent household, and there was almost always present due to the 95% of households owning a television. In the mid-1980s, Sony Corporation creates HD TV technology, a digital format of television that was much better than the previously used analog format. Later in 1994, this first smart TV patent is filed by a French company for a TV linked with data processing systems. And in 2008, LG releases the first smart TV, paving the way for the new era of consuming content, as it allowed for not only regular TV services, but also streaming services such as Netflix and YouTube. And in 2015, major TV companies announced that they would discontinue regular television production and only produce smart TVs. This is one of the most important technological advances in TV's history. One important contributor to the television's history is Paul Nipkow, who was born on August 22, 1860, and died on August 24, 1940, living 80 years. Nipkow laid the foundation for the television through the Nipkow disc, which was used in many of the early TV models and paved the way for the new technology to come. The Nipkow disc was patented in 1884 in Berlin. This was revolutionary for the image scanning industry, which also had fax machines as well as television. Along with Nipkow, we have John Baird, who lived 57 years from August 13, 1888 to June 14, 1946. John Baird was an engineer who used the Nipkow disc to create and demonstrate the world's first working television, and even later demonstrated the first color television, which was a huge monument at the time. We would not have our TVs today if it weren't for Baird. He was the most important person attributed to the television's success and development. There are many advancements along the route of TV's history. One of these advancements is the creation of cable TV in 1948. This brought a plethora of new possibilities for broadcasting, as it allowed for new channels and businesses to be created. Another advancement was on September 4, 1951, when the first nationwide live TV broadcast was transmitted over AT&T cable and radio systems. This set the stage for the all-new broadcast method. Instead of newspapers or radios, news and information would now be sent out through televisions, where you can see and hear things at the same time. And finally, the final advancement took place on October 3, 1958, when the world's first continuous live broadcast was transmitted. This brought a new revolution to the way of broadcasting, since it enabled longer, more detailed transmissions, rather than a short block of time, like many other broadcasters at the time. Although the TV's history is lengthy, the TVs we have today would not exist if it weren't for every single step along the way that contributed to the regular advancement of technology for the television.